To all the killers and the $100 billers. For real, because who ain't got no feelings. Check it out now. I got you stuck off the realness. We be the infamous, you heard of us. Official Queensbridge murderers. The more comes away from warfare. Beware of my crime family who got enough shots to share.
What it do, E-World? Crisscross and Wires. Back with another video, and it's been forever ever. So, I'm gonna redo a lot of my older videos where I was trying to explain certain things. Because I look back on a lot of those videos and honestly they were terrible. Well, not too terrible. They had good information, but they're scattered all over the place. I really don't know, you know, I wanted to make a playlist, and like I say, man, they all over the place. So I'm going to start all over again and talk about different topics and, you know, just go over everything from A to Z. Since I'm working on batteries right now, so this video is going to be about battery making. And yes, I've done them before, but we're going to do it again. There's some people that don't understand the configuration as far as how the cells are configured, you know, as far as series, parallel, and all that. So we're going to go over a lot of that. Give me a second. Shut up, Smokey. Okay, so we're gonna start from the simplest of everything. Why is my phone not okay? It's tripping. Anyway, I won't worry about that right now. We're gonna start with basic series parallel connections. Smokey, get out the way. All right, these are two single cells. Oh boy, let me angle this camera down a little bit. Here we got two cells. All right, in a 72-volt battery, it's considered a 20S pack. That means you have 20 of these cells in series to make a 72-volt pack. In series means the positive of this cell will be going to the negative of the one after it. Just like when you put batteries in the flashlight, you put them in there and they go one behind each other. The positive of this one's connecting to the negative of this one, and on down the line until there's 20 of them. They give you your 72 volts. All right, so that is 20S. When it comes to the capacity and size of the pack, that is how many cells are in parallel. Okay, so when cells are in parallel, all of their positives are together and all their negatives are making connection. Anyway, so yeah, if we wanted all these to be in parallel, we would connect all the positives like that and then do the same thing with all the negatives. And capacity adds up. The more these in parallel, the larger the pack's capacity, the larger the amp hour, the larger the amount of discharge rate. So if you have a 20S 10P pack, that means you have 20 of these cells in series for the 72 volts, 10 in parallel. 10 of these P45s in parallel, they are 4,500 milliamps each. So 10 of them would be 45,000 milliamps, which is the same as 45 amp hour, okay? 10 P45 back is a 45 amp hour. 20S, 72 volts, all right? Okay, think y'all are with me on that. Now, here we have this little pack right here would be 2S because they're 2 cells in series, because one is coming up like that and the other one is going down. Then there's a connection there that puts them in series, so it's like that. So this is 2S, 6P, 6 in parallel. All right, so 6 in parallel would be 6 times 4,500, which would be 24, and 6 times 5 is 3, would be 27 amp hour. 27 amp hour at 2S, which is only going to be 8.4 volts fully charged. At nominal 3.6 or 3.7 is going to be 7.4. Okay, so there you go. And notice, like I said, there's nothing on the bottom of these, because if you were starting to make a pack and putting a whole bunch of these 2S packs in series, you would put 10 of these, since they're 2S, to make a 20S. It would be 20S 6P. And the end of the pack, both ends would be, one end would be all the negatives, the furthest end would be all the positives. So that would be your positive, this would be your negative. And you know, if you were putting power wires on this little battery pack, you would have, you know, your positive wire on the positive, your negative wire on the negative. Same thing if that was a 20S pack. No different, just bigger. Okay? Now, keeping that in mind, I had a picture of another battery configuration just like this, and in the picture, you know, all you saw is all these big plates on it like this, and people were like, I don't understand how the cells are configured like that. Well, what I'm making here is 20S 21P, 20 cells in series for a 72 volt pack, 21 in parallel, which I think it comes up to like 96 amp hour. So I had to redo the math. It's been a while, but I think it's like 96 amp hour, something like that. 21 times 4,500. But let's take a good look at this from the top down. As you can see, it looks like a dice 5, but if you notice, there's a group of 21 cells. Okay, now if I put all of these positives and connect them all together like that, that is putting all of those positives in parallel. Okay, now for a piece that covered them like that, this piece is doing two things. It is putting all of these in parallel, putting all of these in parallel, but putting them in series. So at this point it would be 2S, because it's 2 sets of cells in series, but 21 in parallel. Okay, this one piece of copper is putting these 21 cells in series with this second group of 21 cells. All right, now if you notice, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 groups of 21. It's actually, when it's done, it will be 10, because there's an extra part that goes over here on the end. So it will be 10 groups of 21 cells, which will be 36 volts at 21 21p. Okay, So this is half of the battery. This battery will go in series with another battery identical to this to give us our 72 volts. So at that point, it will be 20S 21P, which is 72 volt, 96 amp hour. Now, just because I can't remember what the exact math is, I know it's like a decimal point something. Let's just do the math real quick. 21 times 4500. It's 94.5 amp hour to be accurate. But yeah, so 94.5 amp hour is a pretty large pack. Okay, 21S. So that is how these big plates work. All right, now as you continue on, this pack on the underside of this, when these positives are coming up to go in series with these negatives, on the reverse side, on the bottom side, there'll be another plate on the bottom side, which is going to be doing the same thing underneath, putting these positives in series with these negatives. And then there will be a plate coming this way, which will put these positives in series with these negatives. And then the next plate would go that way, then the next plate would go that way, then the next plate would go that way. But on the bottom sides, it would be the opposite. Okay, you can't take this plate like this and put it on the bottom on the same group of cells. That would be a dead short. All right, so these positives have to be in series with these negatives. On the bottom side, these positives will be in series with those negatives. All right, so it's the opposite underneath. All right, like that. And that's how that works. Okay, I know it may sound a little confusing, but like I said, if you were doing single cells, it would be, you know, once again, 20 of these in series. This is the same thing, just on a larger scale. 20 groups of 21 cells in series. All right, the bigger your pack gets as far as capacity, the more cells you need in parallel. If I was to make this a 25P, 25P would be 25 times 4500 would be 112.5 amp hour. So the more cells in parallel, the bigger its capacity, the more charge that battery can hold. Okay, now this is my new welding setup. Well, it's actually an old welding setup, using a K-weld and a 12-volt battery with a stiffening capacitor. I had the K-weld super caps that you just plug in the wall. The only thing about those is, like I said, that power supply is $600 per power supply, and those power supplies can only deliver about 1,000 amps. So you really need two of them if you're trying to get 1,800 to 2,000 amps of pulse to weld with. Now, this copper that I'm using is 0.3 millimeter thick, so it's kind of thick. And what you do is you put the plate down and you use nickel strips on top of this, weld through the nickel, through the copper to the cell. Now, the average welder cannot weld through raw copper. Okay, that's why you buy those prefab bus bars. Those prefab bus bars have nickel inserts. Nickel inserts meaning this bus bar is not solid copper. It has little hole cutouts where they have nickel laser welded to the copper. So that way when you're welding to the cell, you're just welding through nickel. You're not welding through copper. It's just a little bit of nickel. However, with those bus bars with the nickel inserts, they can't deliver as much current as a straight piece of solid copper, because that little piece of nickel insert is much thinner than this. It's not copper. It doesn't have the same resistivity and conductivity. Not only that, it's not as thick. It can't handle as much current. So when you have those nickel inserts, the amount of current that can flow through those inserts isn't the same as what can flow through the copper, which is why prefab bus bars can't deliver the same amount of current as a solid piece of copper. All right, but it's very hard to weld through this. Only K-weld and those glitters have enough welding power to weld. Actually, when my system was down, I was trying another welder, and which is why I have to do this battery over again, because it just wasn't strong enough to give me a solid weld that wouldn't break a loose. You know, like these little 2S units that I make when I build big packs. As you can see, there's nothing on the bottom of these, because when you put the copper on the underside, as I told you, it's the opposite. You can't put this right on the bottom of that. That's a dead short. So it would go like that, and then the next group of cells would go to there. All right, so it's not a dead short, it's putting them in series. But yeah, to try to weld straight through this copper, not gonna do it with a crappy welder. Gotta have a heavy duty high power welder. So yeah, I'm having to redo it because the cells were, you know, I could pull them loose. There's what you call a pull test. When you're making a battery and you're doing welds, to be sure that you've got good solid welds, you can do a test by, you know, welding your bus bar to your cells and then pull them off. Some of them will easily pull off. You can pull it right off with your hand very easily. That's not a good solid connection. If it's a really good connection, you have to take some pliers or something, you know, some grip pliers, and clamp onto that to pull it off. You can't pull it off just with your hand. Now, if I could pick this up like this and shake it and the cells were falling off, you know, that's not a solid weld. So which is why I'm having to redo it with my K-weld. There's no way in the world I was going to go with that. You know, it was making connection, but it wasn't a connection that I could have faith in. You know, these batteries go through vibration and bikes jumping off the curbs and, you know, impacts and all that, and those welds got to be able to hold up. If those welds break loose and you got a cell that's, you know, connecting and disconnecting, connecting and you know, that's going to cause problems, man. That might cause a fire. You know, the cells aren't going to discharge at the same rate. If one of these cells isn't making a solid connection, when these cells are being drained down, that cell that's not making connection will still be at 4.2 volts or whatever. So when it does make connection, there's going to be a rush of current through there. So, you know, it's all kinds of issues that you can have with bad connections. All right, so that is it. Hopefully that was understandable. And if not, man, like I say, I'm going to do some live streams where I'm going to talk about this stuff again, and you can ask questions as I'm doing it. You know, but right now I got a lot to do, and I ain't got time to do the live stream right now. But when I get a little further closer to being finished on this particular pack right here, I'll do a live stream and we can talk about it, and you can ask me whatever you might need to ask me. Let's see, Trying to think. Yeah, that's pretty much it. All right, y'all. Take it easy. Take care. Crisscross and wires. We got a lot of catching up to do, man. And, you know, like I say, I can't wait to work on my own pack. We going to do a 108 volt system this time around. And unfortunately, I'm not going to show everything with this new update mod, you know, because this is the internet. This is YouTube. Don't put anything on YouTube if you don't want it to be copied. All right, now I feel like I've given out enough of the basic foundational information that if you want to build your own pack, you can do that. But as far as you know, I'm trying to be a little discreet about what I'm gonna have in my new build, and I don't want everybody doing the exact same thing, then, you know, I gotta be a little discreet with it. So that's just how it is, man. I'm tired of people copying shit and you know, taking credit for it as their own. All right, and even though I may do some of that too, you know, I look at videos too and get ideas myself. But when I come up with my own little designs and setups I'm going to do, you know, some things just, everything ain't for everybody. That's just what it is. All right, y'all, take it easy. Take much care. Crisscross and wires. Deuces. We out. Hope everybody's doing great. And see y'all soon. Deuces. We out.